It's PANPA Newspaper of the Year Awards time again, and I'm sure you're all getting onto the website and having a look at the entry forms and downloading them and checking to see exactly what you've got to do. Tried to keep it simple with 5 tips that I think work across just about any category, but you may want to go to specific judges who have judged individual categories if you want to get further information. Tip number 1 is to start early. Entries are now open. However, you're probably thinking, oh, I've got ages of time to do that. They don't close until July 13. That's weeks, months away. But it's surprising how quickly that July 13 is going to come around. And of course, a lot of people are scrambling at the last minute because it's not just one entry they're trying to put together, it's multiple entries. And if they've all got to get approval or go through the same point, you're going to need plenty of time to prepare. So tip number 1, start early, start now. Tip number 2 is address the criteria. Each award has got a different set of criteria, and it's really important that when you do the entry, you follow the criteria. It's incredibly frustrating as a judge when you get entries that are well written, they've got a good story, but they leave a whole section of the criteria untouched. And that might be worth 10%, 15%, 20% of the marks. And if there's nothing there that addresses the criteria, as a judge, you've got no option but to give it 0. Tip 3 is wherever you can, provide some results. Provide some proof that what you did is really working. It could be anything. It could be the number of people, readers that have engaged in a story, that have written a blog, that have written letters to the editor. It could be how campaigning got involved. It could be the number of comments you got on a photo. It could be results of how many people have entered in a competition. It could be advertising oriented. But whatever you've got, wherever you can, try to provide some data. And tip 4 is, even though you live and breathe the paper or the entry that you're working on, just remember, judges may not be that familiar. We get judges from all over the world. They come from anywhere throughout Asia, Pacific, they're in Australia, they're in the UK, we've got some from the US. They may not be familiar with your day-to-day product. As you write it up, don't assume that they're avid readers, that they know exactly what you're on about. Assume that they're starting from scratch, and assume that they've got a very low knowledge base of what your particular story is about. And lastly, tip 5 is tell a story. We're in the newspaper business. We're all storytellers. Try and make it engaging. There's nothing harder than from a judging point of view when you're reading a dull, incoherent entry that doesn't really address the criteria. Tell a story, make it easy, entertain the judges, engage them, and it'll be a lot easier for them to score. They'll remember your case, they do merge into each other. So in summary, start early, address the criteria, provide results wherever you can. Just remember that the judges may not be familiar with your product, and make sure you tell a story. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see you as winners later in September.